Welcome to the Calaveras County Water District Board meeting for May 13th, 2023. If you are able, will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready?
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Director Robertson will not be joining us today. He is out of town on other business. This time, meeting is called to order. We'll ask for public comment. I'd like everybody to speak on items that are not on the agenda, or I'll ask you to please contain your comments till the agenda item comes up. And if you can courteously stick to 3 minutes, I would appreciate it. Are there any public comments at this time? Oh, no. Any online? All right. There are no public comments. I'll close that agenda item and move on to item 3, the consent agenda. These are items that are expected to be routine, non-controversial. Items will be acted on by the board as one time without discussion. Any board member may request any item be removed for later discussion. Any board member like to remove an item?
Move for acceptance. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 4-0-1. Move on to, we are now recessing the Calaveras County Water District Board meeting, and I am convening a Public Financing Authority hearing. Meeting is convened. Madam Clerk, will you please read the roll?
Director Ratterman,
Here.
Director Davidson,
Here.
Director Thomas,
I'm here.
President Garamendi.
Here. Thank you. Item 4B, discussion action regarding the 2026 biennial review of Public Finance Authority Conflict of Interest Code. Mr. Minkler.
So pretty standard stuff. We just need to update the conflict of interest code and the Public Finance Authority. We need to convene it on a regular basis. So we're checking boxes here, but I don't know that we need to walk through it in detail unless there's any questions on it.
Questions from the board on the conflict of interest? Seems to be no questions. Do we need to have a motion to approve?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Move for acceptance.
The motions are second.
Yes, second.
Second, all in favor? I'm sorry. Thank you. Public comment? Any online? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0-1. Item 4C, discussion action regarding receipt of quarterly treasurer's reports, confirmation of officers, fidelity bond coverage, and conflict of interest code, acknowledgement of annual audit obligations, and related compliance action. Sennheiser.
Good afternoon, President Garamendi, members of the board. Before you today is a resolution related to the ongoing administrative and statutory compliance requirements of the CCWD Public Financing Authority. The authority was established in 2016 as a separate joint powers entity between the district and the Independent Cities Finance Authority for the purpose of facilitating financing activities under the Marks-Ruse Local Bond Pooling Act. While the authority currently holds no active treasury authority currently has no active treasury activity and holds no funds directly, try and say that 3 times fast, it does continue to exist because previously issued bonds remain outstanding. The recommended action today serves several important housekeeping and compliance functions required under both the Joint Exercise of Powers Authority Agreement and applicable state law. Specifically, the resolution formally receives the treasurer's quarterly reports for the past 4 quarters, confirms authority officers and fidelity bond coverage, acknowledges the continued adoption and review of the Conflict of Interest Code, confirms completion and filing of the required independent audits for fiscal years 23-24 and 24-25, and directs staff to ensure the authority's registry of public agencies filings remain current. As reflected in the quarterly reports, the authority has maintained 0 cash balances because all bond proceeds and reserve funds are held directly by the respective bond trustees, not by the authority itself. Therefore, there is no direct fiscal impact associated with this item beyond the normal administrative staff time, legal review, and fidelity bond costs. Staff recommends adoption of this resolution as presented, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions from the board?
I'll move for acceptance.
Are there any public comment? Public comment online?
Yes, sir.
Francisco?
Um,
Yeah, 3
Yes,
minutes.
just a question of the speaker. How does this authority interact at all with the debt service coverage ratio that the district is held accountable on bonds?
Francisco, that might be a good question offline, but Kelly will answer it. Unless one of the board has more question, any questions? Kelly, do you want to, no more public comment online? Do you want to rebuttal?
I'd be happy to speak with Mr. Francisco offline if possible. To my knowledge, it does not impact the debt service, so I'm happy to discuss with him at a different time if he wants to reach out to me directly.
We'll do
Sounds
so.
good.
Thank
I
you.
think the short answer is it doesn't.
Yeah.
The budget for the debt service coverage ratio calculation is the CCWD's budget, not the Public Finance Authority.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Very well. We have a motion on the floor to accept this resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 401. I'm now adjourning the Calaveras County Water District Public Finance Authority meeting. Reconvening the regular board meeting of Calaveras County Water District. We are on item 6, discussion action regarding support for California Association with California Water Agencies, ACWA, Vision for Our Water. Kelly.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I believe for those of us who attended the ACWA conference, we heard about this quite a bit last week. So I imagine you guys are familiar with this initiative for the vision for our water future. But President Garamendi, I don't think you were at ACWA, so you might not have kind of experienced some of this. Okay.
Read the agenda item, but I did not experience it.
Okay. Got a couple of slides to go with it, but basically the initiative that in April 2026, ACWA, the Association of California Water Agencies, launched the Vision for Our Water Future, aimed at prioritizing water for California's next administration. This initiative provides a framework for securing reliable and affordable water systems that supports communities, the economy, and the environment. Focuses on 4 main priorities: lead on water, protect affordability, deliver critical infrastructure, and modernize water management to strengthen California's water future. As we know, water is essential to California's foundations, impacting housing, the economy, affordability, and public health. The current water system faces many challenges from climate extremes, aging infrastructure, and rising costs, requiring coordinated action. This progress requires strong state leadership and collaboration with local agencies that provide these daily services. So again, there's the 4 main initiatives. The first one, to lead on water. This first priority focuses on elevating water as a top statewide issue. It recognizes that water underpins our communities, our economy, and our environment, and calls for strong coordinated leadership at the state level. While agencies like ours are already solving problems locally, long-term progress depends on a clear direction and stronger alignment across the entire state. The second is protect affordability. It recognizes that water underpins our communities. This is about keeping water safe and reliable without pricing out the people that we serve. It highlights the needs for stable, long-term funding partnerships, because without that support, more of the costs will continue to fall on our ratepayers. And out of these 4 initiatives, there's going to be 3 working groups that started because of this. And this is one of those working groups, and this is a working group that I signed on to. So I think our first meeting is June 2nd. So I'm really looking forward to that, and just pushing this initiative here. The third is deliver critical infrastructure. A major part of the vision is to strengthen infrastructure across the state. This includes both upgrading aging systems and investing in projects that improve resilience to droughts, floods, and other extremes. A more modern, connected system is essential if we're going to meet the future demand in California. And then the fourth major part of the vision is strengthening infrastructure. That includes both upgrading aging systems and investing in projects that improve resilience to droughts, floods, and other extremes like wildfires. A more modern, connected system is really essential if we're to meet that future demand. ACWA provided a toolkit that all the agencies can use, and in the packet you'll see this 4-page, a little bit more in-depth part of the toolkit. Really just describes all those initiatives and different ways we can communicate with not only the public but legislators as well. And then also there's a more condensed version, the fact sheet, just a 2-pager there. That's also in the packet. And then they also provided.
Kelly, before you go back to the one slide before that, do you know where that picture's from? Well, right there.
I think that's a PCWA photo. I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure, but
All right.
I think it's one of PCWA's reservoirs. And it's interesting you mentioned that with the photos. I'll jump over to the social media part of the toolkit. And one thing that was brought up on the communications committee for ACWA is just making sure that the images that are being shown, we can kind of customize it. So one thing that was talked about was keeping the branding, and then each agency can insert their own photos. So it really represents all the regions and all reaches of California, not just, per se, the aqueduct or, almond orchards, but we can add photos.
It was good to see I knew it was a Region 3
Yeah.
county agency, but it was good. All the other stuff we got water in California.
Yeah, and like I said, it's great you say that, because that was brought up specifically in the communication committee, is how do we make sure that we're really communicating all the different aspects? Because we have all the different agencies, some on surface water, some on groundwater, some more heavily involved in agricultural and some not. So really want to just kind of capture that. And then really the call to action for today, the vision focuses on keeping water central to California's future, with local agencies like CCWD being allowed to shape that direction. Adopting this resolution gives Calaveras County a voice and reinforces the importance of reliability, affordability, and resilience, and ultimately ensures communities like Calaveras County really have a seat at the table and can be a part of leading this conversation as California defines its water future. So pretty short and sweet. With that, I'll take any questions.
On the board.
Just an observation that one of our other Calaveras County contributors leading the effort, Department of Water Resources, Joel Metzger, had an interesting presentation. Wasn't part of the ACWA thing per se, but it was adjacent to it. I think it's significant that Joel is going to be making a significant contribution to the future of California water.
Yeah, I would also like to highlight, since we're throwing some shout outs, our own Damon Wyckoff was part of developing this, and also another fellow general manager in the water in Calaveras County. So it's also great to have, I think, again, Calaveras County representing this initiative. You can see him in the picture there. I'll let you guys pick him out, but I think that's pretty awesome.
Okay. Any public comment on this item, or any other questions on the board? Any public comment? Any online? Very well. We have an action item to adopt this. Francisco?
Just wondering what role this is going to play down the line. I know we've got some affordability indices that the state uses to determine grant eligibility, et cetera. And I know we're getting close to where we start to not qualify. How is this effort going to help us in reaching out to the affordability issues? Is that something that is going to continue being a part of a regular report out, or is this something, we hear once and we hear about it again in a year or so?
Thank you. I see no other public comment online. Kelly, you want any last statements or rebuttal?
I mean, I think we'll see what role this plays. You know, this just was implemented in in April. You know, and I think the whole point of this is to really just keep water at the forefront of all these decisions. So, you know, this is very new. We don't know the impact of what this will look like in a year, but I think the objective is well done. I mean, I think again, many of the major crises in California rely on water. You know, housing, affordability, all those things. So I think this is, you know, getting out ahead of that. And, you know, we all know that we can have a new governor soon. And so I think, you know, getting the water industry all on the same page, communicating that is really crucial.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm pretty sure that's why this is one of the main reasons putting this together
Yes.
ahead of the new governor coming in is for him as well as many new assembly members that we have every single year in education. This is positioning us in a position, ACWA and the whole water industry in California in a position to educate them and have something, a sound grounded and well supported across the whole entire state relating to water when this education needs to be done. So I think that's one of the main purposes of the entire thing.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
Right.
With that, I'll make a motion to support this initiative.
For a second?
Yes, second.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Carries 4-0. Thank you very much, Kelly.
Thank you.
Discussion action regarding authorizing the Timber Trails Tank and Pump Station Project. Reclamation WaterSmart Grant Application. Kevin, podium is yours.
Good afternoon, directors. We discussed this item in detail yesterday at the engineering committee, but today we're here to talk about the Timber Trails Redwood Tank and Pump Station Project. So we're requesting support from the board as part of the WaterSmart grant application. We have to submit a resolution as part of the application. This project would replace the existing aging Redwood tank and replace the pump station that pumps to the tank. The existing tank's undersized. It's a Redwood tank. It's leaking really badly. It's in a high fire zone area. It's located within the National Forest on an easement. The current system lacks standby power, so we don't have a generator there. When we need a generator, we have to tow one and park it on the side of the road and wire it up. There's no SCADA controls on it, so we have no control over if the tank starts overflowing or that type of stuff. And the pumps are really small. So in the event of a wildfire, they couldn't refill the tank very quickly at all. And the tank's undersized. I think it's only about, because the Redwood tank and the top section of the tank, you can't even use anymore because it leaks so badly. And then as you go down, I think we only got about 60,000 gallons in the tank. So this project would double the size of the tank to 120,000 gallons. And it would be a steel tank that's more resistant to wildfires. So the project would...
Is this our last Redwood tank?
This is our last Redwood tank. We had one copper that we just replaced last year, and then we had the other 5 tanks that replaced.
This is the only one standing right now?
This is the only one standing. So this one's off of Sheep Ranch Road in the Avery area. So it serves mainly the Timber Trails RV Park, which has 400 to 500 people that are semi-permanent residents over there.
We're not gonna load this up in the back of a truck crushed again, are we? This is our last tank.
This is our
Try to
last.
save this wood at all.
Well, actually, we have one more tank. It's Big Trees number 3 that was left as a historical monument to these tanks. So that one's still standing, and that'll stay until.
And that's not in use.
It's not in use. It's just sitting there as part of the historical requirements for the FEMA grant we got, and that'll also comply with the historical requirements for this to maintain a history of these tanks.
You know
in the
where the
county.
Redwood goes on these. The contractor takes it.
I know, but I saw last time they were just loading it in a dump truck.
Oh no, that was the scrap pieces that were broken up. So
All right.
yeah,
Well,
that
that's-
wasn't like.
As long as someone's doing something with it, I'm fine with
Yeah.
it going to the contractor.
So we had previously applied for this grant in 2024. The grant had a lot of changes and they cut most of the funding out of it because it was a climate change initiative and now it's a drought project. So we were the close runner up on getting the grant. We were in the top 10 percentile. We had a debrief with the Bureau of Reclamation, and they gave us really high marks on everything except for one section, and we know how to fix that section. So we think that we got a successful application going forward. We're doing a lot more technical details and environmental studies up front. So we'll score better on those categories, but it's a very competitive grant. We haven't received a WaterSmart grant in the past, but a lot of our neighboring agencies have. So we thought it would be a good opportunity to, we got a really good project, and it's a 50-50 cost share. So it's not as great a cost share as we get from FEMA, that's 75-25, but it still goes a long ways in enabling us to do this project and others with the amount of money we have to complete projects.
What is the total cost? What
It's about 3.1 million, and we're asking, the maximum you can ask for on the grant is 1.5. So we're right at the 50%. They suggested that you go a little bit over on the local share. So we're trying to narrow our project down to get keep the project we want, but stay within the eligibility for the grant.
Kevin, can we apply for other grants to augment our 50% share? Or is that excluded?
So you could apply for a state grant because this is federal funds, so you can't use federal funds to match. But yeah, if there's a local state grant or local watershed type grant, we could apply for that. The time frame on this is pretty quick. We have to have the application by July, and then we would know by September. So they're a little bit quicker in getting back to us than FEMA.
Michael, last week at ACWA, you gave, by the way, a very nice presentation at JPIA early Tuesday morning on the local hazard mitigation grants. And I think you mentioned this tank and that we had used that program for many of our other tanks. Anyway, very nice presentation, well attended, well presented and received.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think we have applied for this this tank through a local hazard mitigation grant as well, but
it was submitted originally as part of the grant with the other redwood tanks, but because of the because it's on U.S. Forest Service property and because the benefit cost analysis didn't pencil out for this particular tank, it was pulled because it would have hurt the application for the rest of the tanks.
yeah, it would have been nice if we could have included this. But hopefully WaterSmart really, from the Bureau of Reclamation standpoint, what they've said is any project that saves water that's upstream of a reclamation dam, as this one is something they're interested in funding with the WaterSmart grant funds.
So along, piggybacking on Jack's question, is that grant still available for our, or would it be
I
partly?
don't think we have a
available for
local
our-
hazard mitigation disaster that would apply to this.
No, this tank wouldn't qualify for that because it doesn't have BCA over 1, so you can't submit a grant on that. This is a water supply drought project, and it fits that box.
How many tanks, how many redwood tanks have we have 10 years ago?
I think
We have
8.
8. And
Yeah.
this is the last one.
That include the 2 that burned down in Bencho?
No.
10?
Impressive, guys.
This one's in really bad shape compared to the other ones.
Good work.
Right.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I just have one question for Kevin. There was an action item on the T-stand agenda last meeting to approve a letter of recommendation for this project.
Yeah, that was one of the sections that we got marked down on our previous application. So now that we have that, and we have letters of support from the Forest Service, and we're going to coordinate with the environmental people at Bureau of Reclamation. Those were the 3 areas that we got marked down on. So I think we can hit those targets on this application. And yes, that was part of it. We got in before their board meeting. Last time we missed the deadline for the board meeting and couldn't get on the agenda. So this time we're on the agenda, and we have the letter of support that'll go in with this application. We're also trying to gain support from some of our federally elected officials. So that would be helpful if we could get somebody from Congress to sign off on it too.
And we met with Reclamation last week at ACWA conference to in part to really put this project in front of them and hopefully talked through it. We got some good recommendations from them. And so hopefully that will help as well. It doesn't officially affect the score, but it helps get the project in front of the evaluators.
All right, any public comment on this item?
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead.
Yes, the leakage you mentioned, Kevin, is it a large contributor to our rate up, or is it going to be a small contributor to helping the leakage results?
Yeah.
It's a,
Kevin, Brandon, I
Okay.
think that's our only public comment, so go ahead and respond.
okay, yeah, there's the redwood has joints in it, so it leaks out through the joints. We tried to approximate the number as part of the application. Yeah, it's kind of a judgment call, so we submitted that as part of the application. I don't have the number in front of me, but I think it's probably a substantial contributor to some leakage in the area.
Cool. I have
Thank you.
pieces of the Elwha River Water Company redwood tank in my bar. And I was going to ask if any of that redwood is going to be available for a ratepayer to buy.
On our previous grant, we have to take a credit with the contractor because you can't extract money from a grant. So if we sell the wood, then we have to give it back we have to give at least 50% of it back. It's 50-50 cost share. So it makes sense to let the contractor salvage it. They credit the project back, so we save 50% of the cost.
Thank you. All right, so we've got action in front of, we got a resolution in front of us.
Acceptance.
So move. Okay,
Second.
there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 401. Thank you, Kevin. All right, we are on item 7, monthly reports. Damon.
Good afternoon, directors. So April continues the spate of boring months for CCWD operations staff. No, but I think we have some interesting things that we can share with y'all. A little different from the norm, kind of talking about grants and grant applications.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
This is a great picture. So this grant was applied for in 2019. Critical Facilities Generator Implementation Project. And so this is $500,000 where the district applied for hazard mitigation grant funds to add generators to 10 locations that currently did not have them. And so what this also allows us to do is to free up some trailer mounted generators that we keep at some of these locations because they have turned out to be either difficult to access in an emergency or just more convenient to set there because for whatever reason, power is unreliable. So this is an image of the delivery of those generators at the beginning of April into the yard right here. Okay, yes, it is. It's really great. So we're not starting in Rancho Calaveras here this month with the service line repairs. We're up on Ebbets Pass. The Ebbets Pass crew has been doing a heck of a ton of work related to the distribution system, both in improving their understanding of the system and in addressing issues like the classic service lateral leak. And so this is just an image of a leak on Canyon View on a 1-inch service lateral that the guys went out, located. You can see the image on the bottom left, kind of hard to see, but it's pushing out sediment from the ground, like pushing. So it created a little anthill of it really kind of like silt. It's kind of interesting. And so then the guys were able to, in the upper corner or the upper left-hand corner, you can see the repair clamp made on the service. Image in the middle, you can see water blowing everywhere, using the pickup tube on the back on to make the fix. So this is some of that work that they've been doing that helps make the district better in general, locating service lines on bare lots. This has partly been driven by the fact that PG&E has been so focused on undergrounding their infrastructure on Ebbets Pass. Last year, they did 20 plus miles. This year, they want to do up to 29 miles. And so we have hundreds of USAs that come in associated with this work. And so our guys are trying to kind of get ahead of it and look at empty lots where we might have had, cross country line or set a meter, and we have a service that's going to terminate at a certain area, and go ahead and locate those now so we know what's going on. So you can see kind of quite some interesting locations where we have kind of an old meter set or a termination of the water system. All right. I don't know if you all have ever seen this, so I just wanted to share some pictures of what happens when customer service gets a call for construction water, and then the district staff are asked to go place a hydrant meter out in the system. This is what a hydrant meter looks like. In the image on the left, you can see the folks have coupled it to the hydrant and chained it up. And then we advise the contractor to put a lock on that valve. You can see that blue handled valve at the end of it. It's kind of hard to see in that image. And then what happens is there's an automatic monthly work order that's issued to our staff to go out and read that. And then they punch that into the work order, and that informs customer service. And then the contractors build off of hydrant meter use. These are some images of what we get from PG&E related to the USA underground service alerts for their undergrounding projects. So I think, I can't remember month of April, I think we're somewhere in the tune of over 500 USAs, which obviously we have a staff of 3 up there on the pass, so they can't accommodate all of this work. So what we really end up doing is meeting at the construction trailer for each job and talking directly with the folks that are doing the work. Okay, what streets are you on next week? And we'll go ahead and knock those USAs out. We'll go identify anything that we might need to touch base with you on then. And so that's kind of how our folks have been approaching it. We've also added additional resources to help.
So PG&E contact USA and sends in 500 at one time for a period of what, 2 or 3 months?
Correct. They're contractors. It could be even a period of even longer, but there's a time frame that sets a clock, right? So legally, we have 48 hours to go make those marks. We can't accommodate that. And so this is kind of driving this broader conversation. And I can't for the life of me remember the name of the state agency that's focused on safe underground work, but there is a state agency, and there was legislation that was passed related to wildfire. At the bottom of that legislation, there was a discussion about improving the speed with which locates are made. And really what we're looking at now is the potential, and I think you guys have heard about this, but the potential for projects to be required to locate within centimeters their infrastructure, underground infrastructure, to facilitate the work of others. And that if, so for example, PG&E wants to put a substation next to one of our booster pump stations, and there's a sewer line and a water line in the ground. And we're required to locate those within a certain measure of accuracy, so that PG&E can go ahead and design the project sleeping well at night, knowing that when they go to put it in the ground, there's not going to be a conflict because they've put the onus on us. Because if they do go out there and they find that our water line is in their way, we're going to be on the stick to relocate that water line. So this is kind of an end around unfunded mandate associated with underground infrastructure. But what it will do, if kind of looking from their lens, is it would speed up the process with which they can do this work. Excuse me. And so when they're stuck against the wall waiting for us to locate infrastructure, that is challenging for their timelines. They want to get all this mileage done. So they're hoping that this change in legislation will facilitate their work for years to come. So there's a team actually associated with updating the regulation that was compelled to be changed as associated with that legislation. And that team's supposed to complete that work mid-2027. We have an opportunity here to kind of guide what happens. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to get hit with all those USAs, Director Ratterman, and have to respond to those accordingly. And then here's just some images of the folks, Matt and Bill and Nick and the team up on the pass, locating infrastructure and then marking infrastructure. So I think Kelly talked about this in the past. Wheels of Wonder. This was a really great time for our folks to be able to kind of share what our heavy equipment does with the Hazel Fisher Elementary School kids. And you can see Matt really engaged in there, gesticulating over there by the pickup tube to the kids about what it is that they're doing. I think this was a hit across the board for both, school kids and teachers, and for our staff. They really, really enjoyed it. And so hats off to Kelly for setting this up and for the guys for doing such a great job. um, sharing the wonders that the VACON can do. I mean, it's truly an amazing piece of equipment. We watch that thing, open up a 8-10 inch hole in a matter of minutes. It's really impressive. So perhaps we have some future CCWD staffers out there watching this thing do its thing. Can't say enough great things about the work that our construction crew does. This is up on Evans Pass, Navajo and Apache, installing a new fire hydrant T, guard valve, and hydrant, and then reestablishing essentially what I guess you could call it a curb, but it's a sidewalk. They just do great work. You can see the molding that they put in on the form, the image on the left, and the image on the right shows that how they basically made everything look exactly like it already did originally. So hats off to the guys for doing that. Resetting some G5. So these are the cans that go down into the waterline valve. There's called a G5, and there's a concrete collar. We usually use a piece of C900 pipe to kind of focus your ability to get down to the top of that valve with a valve key of varying depths. So it's always important when you can improve or reestablish access to those, because the valves are our ability to isolate the system in emergencies or to optimize flushing or what have you. So there's some images of both kind of. The image on the left is work has been done. We've reestablished the G5s. The image on the right is we're tearing out some old antiquated concrete. I'm going to go reestablish it. So during the Snowmageddon of February, we had a cross-country line break that really did a number on the forest there in the area. And this is just an image of our folks on the construction crew went back and cleaned that up and graded it, and it just looks like a park. Really hard to kind of show the context of with which the work that they did in this image, but I just want to assure you that it was really impressive. The root ball was 8 feet tall by the time the tree had fallen over, and the water line is sticking up in the air. And then they were able to reestablish the line and make it look like nothing ever happened. Really impressive.
Damon, on that subject, I was wondering, we had 2 instances where over and ripped out pipes. Has anybody gone back to kind of put their eyeballs on possibilities that trees didn't go all the way over? They dipped a little bit, having leaks that we haven't detected yet because of that storm?
That's a great question. When our folks are out in the field, those kinds of things pop out to them. And so I think we're always on the lookout. I think we would note that. One of the things that's also kind of falls in that family of the work that our folks do is if they see a lot of like ferns or like a pocket of green grass in a certain area. Actually, incidentally, I was out in the field with the guys, and we were looking at a location for one of the generator sets for the generator project, and construction crew was like, "Hey, we need to go take a look up." We were in a draw right at Lake Tulloch, and in the draw, kind of up the hill towards the street, ferns, it's nice and green. We're like, we need to go take a look at what's going on over there. And so I think the short answer is yes. The long answer is there's a whole host of tools that our guys are alert to that could help them understand if there's. This one is a little bit associated with the sea transmission project, but we had an old blow off that's outlet was in conflict with that pipeline. And so we had a blow off nearby. So our folks determined the best approach would be just to abandon that. And as they were working to do the work, it decided to abandon itself in the image on the left. And so we were able to kind of quickly isolate and then cap that at the coupling you can see there on the right. This is just some images of electrical underground. So the image on the left, our construction crew is prepping in these images to set the SAF unit, which is going to be that pretreatment unit that the Army Corps, we're working with the Army Corps on all the improvements at the copper reclaim. So this is that pretreatment unit. And our crews went out and basically all the marks are the electrical lines in red. And so we have to navigate those as we determine where to pothole for the influent line from the pump station from the pond that conveys that water to the reclaim unit to be treated. So there's just some images of the construction crew out there doing that work. This is a really interesting one. So this is, Friday afternoon, treatment operators like, hey, we've been monitoring the Copperopolis tank, the image on the right, all day. And we've been, outlet flow has been matching inlet flow. So meaning the tank's not gaining any ground. 100 plus gallons a minute going into the tank, 100 plus gallons a minute coming out of the tank. Something's going on. So all Friday, the distribution crew looked in that region that the tank feeds, in the image on the left. So basically, town square, old Copperopolis elementary school area to the highway there, and even across the highway for a sign of a leak. And so late afternoon, we have a conversation. We can't find what's going on. So we notify, what we do in these situations, we notify on-call folks, and treatment operators continue to monitor, and they lower the parameters that the tank will alarm out. So we basically can get a jump on anything that happens. And then we wait. Can't, maybe a customer will call and, hey, there's water's flowing out onto Main Street, or there's something, and then we can understand, okay, that's where we have to go. So this one lasted through the night. And this is, incidentally, this image on the right is the picture of the tank just when this 100 plus gallon minute leak turned into a 600 plus gallon minute leak. So what basically the line broke at that point. It was no longer just leaking, it broke. And so first thing in the morning, treatment staff are heading out into the field to understand what's going on. And they find this behind the Griffs there in Town Square. So pretty easy to understand. That is the source of the leak. Finally gave up the ghost. And so this was kind of best case scenario in this situation. There was a valve right just upstream of this leak. We were able to isolate it and come back, let the soil dry a little bit and come back and make the repair. And literally, as you can imagine, right as that valve is shut, copper tank starts to gain. So just a kind of a day in the life of the on-call person who's like, wait, what? I could get a call at any time that, yeah, somebody found this. Yes, we're still trying to find it.
Is that pretty new infrastructure there?
Yeah, I'm 20 years old. This was
Pretty new.
Yeah.
and this was a, yeah. Did you see this out in the field? Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Oh, you did. Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
That's my.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, no, this was actually a valve on the line. So the valve itself failed. It wasn't the C900 that failed. Yeah. So it was kind of a terminated, this was off a 2-inch coming off the main. So yeah, not the C900. Yeah. Some more pics of the generator project. So kind of receiving the generators and taking them off the trailer, putting them out here in the yard. And then we went out into the fields and reaffirmed where they were going to live at certain locations. So lift station 17 on the left in copper, lift station 7 on the right in copper. For the forms, set it up. And then I believe one of these generators, I believe 7, the one on the right has already been placed. And then we're going to place the one on the left here next week. So that project is moving forward. Filter rehab progress update. So the image on the left kind of shows how the team that is rehabbing those filters gets the media in and out of the filters. So they use that hopper system to push it and pull it out of, bless you, out of the tank. And then the image on the right, when they coat and blast the filters, they build a structure around them and use, some thick milled visqueen to kind of keep everything cleanly in there. But I just want to share with you, this is a rehabilitated filter images, just how clear the water is. The absorption clarifier. So under the screen in both images are all of these little tiny plastic beads, and they look like lentil beans. And what they do is they act like basically something that the water can push up against, and they drag the debris off the water molecule. So they basically keep all of what we call flock underneath the screen. So as the water flows through, it's electrically charged, it's negatively charged. We hit it with some polymer, and that polymer is positively charged, and they attract dirt. And the dirt grabs onto that water molecule, and then it flows by that plastic bead, and it flows out of that screen and overflows into the trough and heads up the picture image and flows down by gravity through the filter. You can see just how good of a job that clarifier is doing in clarifying the water, because you can see what kind of lights are those? Fluorescent lights reflected back in the water. And so we've never rehabilitated the filters in copper. They got 0.028 turbidity is the kind of pre-rehab, and that's really, really clean filtered water. But 0.011 is even cleaner. And so it's really impressive what a totally rehabilitated filter coupled with some talented operators can accomplish. So hats off to the district for doing that work. And then while, you're kind of kicking the tires, so to speak, on the filters, our team went in and got a roll off and went through all of kind of the storage units at the copper water treatment plant and cleaned the site up and got rid of a bunch of old monitoring equipment, a bunch of outdated project manuals. So hats off to the guys for doing that work. This is an example of a lift station. This was found in backup. It was really just kind of not pumping, emergencies all across the board at lift station 11 in Poker there. And our guys went in and realized the floats were bad, replaced those floats. So we have a raw water pump that's failed in our raw water pump station in Tulloch, and we need to have a watertight electrical connection when we replace that pump. And so we use this, our folks designed this apparatus with a full circle repair clamp, which keeps that watertight connection in place as the pump is set. So we'll have to drop that pump with an excavator and a barge into the lake. And we don't want to crimp that electrical line or expose it to water at all. And so the electricians and the mechanics work together to fabricate this bracket, so to speak, to keep that connection, that cable, the electrical cable, as straight as possible.
And our guys fabricated that just for the.
That's right.
Here's an opportunity for.
This is a great opportunity. Yes.
For an ACWA JPIA, what is it called? HR LaBounty Safety Award.
I love it.
Funny you should mention that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I love it.
I was
love the
thinking-
sticker as well.
I was thinking more like getting a patent on it.
Right? Isn't that impressive? I believe that's one. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Hats off to the guys. Yeah.
And
Right? Yeah. The HR LaBounty Innovation Award.
yeah.
Yeah. This one's kind of obvious. Failed float. You can see the exposed wire here. Those floats, as you can kind of see, it's part of the benefit of this image right here, is you can kind of see, hard to see, but in the image on the right, you can see the two sewer pumps at the very bottom of the wet well. And then hanging in there are these floats. So you got an on float, you got an off float, and you got an emergency float, you got a low float. And those things, they're surging around periodically. You might get, a fat berg develop in there, and it's kind of like twisting the floats up. So invariably they'll rub against something and end up looking like that. We got to replace them. So this is not Shrek's house. This is duckweed. So this is not algae, but this is just the electricians wanted to share, it's critical. This is at Southworth. So we work to keep that treated effluent sewage pond aerated. So when the aerator dies, our guys jump on it and go in there and get it going. So this is an example of no aerator ops in the image on the left, aerator back in action in the image on the right. So another transducer issue at the Clearwell at West Point Water Treatment Plant, just kind of a picture on the left from the ladder cage. So, our guys are doing all kinds of work. Speaking of HR LaBounty, he would be proud. We go underground, we go on top of the tank. We go all over the place, and safety is key. So just kind of some images of this one was really actually very tricky. It wasn't only a transducer issue, there was a PLC issue. So the Clearwell was not really sure when it was ready to tell the plant to shut off or to turn on. And so our guys had to do a lot of troubleshooting work to make sure the plant could continue to operate. Same with this influent valve on filter number 1 at West Point. The valve itself, the PLC, was having issues understanding what its role was and how it was supposed to function. So this is a case of where the operators work closely with the electricians to resolve issues. And then, so it's kind of hard to see in the image on the left, underground service alerts. So sometimes PG&E will come in and they'll say, white line to white line, 2,000 feet up the hill. And so we've had a conversation with these folks since this time, but what can happen in that case is our guys are not realizing or not noticing that the underground service alert is calling for something 2,000 feet up the hill. Well, in this case, in Wilseyville, 2,000 feet up the hill is our Wilseyville pressure station with an 8-inch discharge line. PG&E wanted to put a power pole in, and they bored right through our water main. So all is not lost initially. Let's see if we can isolate the line and make sure it's the failure happened in a clean fashion. But once we saw that picture in the image on the left of the water line full of mud, we knew that we had to issue a boil water advisory. So this was a boil water advisory issued for about 72 folks in Wilseyville. So that requires 2 rounds of absent back T samples. So it's essentially a 2-day boil water advisory that we had to put the team or the crew or the residents under up there. And the crew did a great job in fixing this and flushing the image on the right and reestablishing the integrity of the supply in a quick fashion. First boil water advisory, knock on wood, that we've had about 1.5 years. So hats off to the teams. Service line install, Jenny, this is a case of operations working with the project. So in this case, the ADB project, to understand what impacts were going to be to different water mains in the project. So in this case, we were going to have a dead-ended water main that has now become a dead end, and 2 of the service laterals would be near that dead end. So our team decided, rather than have 2 services right at the dead end of this water main, we would disconnect them and attach them to a 12-inch line that was right next to that line that was now capped. And so that's the work that our guys did here to reestablish those services on a line that's fresh and flowing. Backwash basin cleanup, Jenny Lynn Water Plant, kind of an illustration, clean backwash basin on the right, in process cleaning on the left. This is the backwash basins. This one at Jenny, we pull a lot of minerals and a lot of sediment out of the water of the Calaveras. And so these fill up fairly readily. So this is a somewhat routine work effort, I'd say semi-annually.
Put it.
We have a storage area at La Cantena Wastewater, and we kind of fill up this moat, if you will, and then the sun does its magic and evaporates the solids until it's basically like 1/3 or 1/10 of what it was, I would say. And then we scoop that up and put it in the dumpster.
Minerals are just naturally occurring ones that.
Yeah, naturally occurring. So the interesting thing about copper, water in Lake Tulloch, and water in Hogan in the Calaveras is they're both surface water, but they have high levels of iron and manganese, which is somewhat unique for surface water. You would think it would be obviously for well water, and surface water is generally you're thinking about, there's bacterial content, there's, E. coli potential, that kind of stuff. Not really minerals, but in this case, both locations, lots of minerals. And this is part of the logic that our guys had to repair related to that clear well at West Point. Looks super clear to me. Thanks, y'all.
All right, thank you, Damon. Any questions from the board? Thank you very much, Damon.
Thanks.
We'll move on to 7B, Mr. Winkler.
Okay, lots going on. As always, we've talked about the ACWA conference already. Just a couple of other highlights from that. I mentioned the meeting with Bureau of Reclamation there already. And we also met with some high-level folks from the Army Corps of Engineers. And that was a really, kind of just a being in the right place at the right time opportunity that came up. And we ended up meeting with the commander of the Sacramento district, a colonel in the Army Corps, and the top ranked civilian in the Army Corps SAC district of the 1,200 people they have in that district. And so just a really great opportunity to get our project and our issues in front of the two highest, the highest ranking military and highest ranking civilian folks at the SAC district at the Army Corps. And getting them to focus a little bit of attention on our project, which is small for them when they're looking at raising Folsom Dam and the levees around Sacramento and major infrastructure projects. Having that opportunity to have some one-on-one time in our project was really beneficial.
Ask any directed specific questions about their increased?
We didn't get into that level of detail, but we definitely did talk about the streamlining effort and how that is impacting their operations, and we're looking for ways to help.
Who operates the project? Was that?
Yeah, that did come up, and Mia's following up with that on her end too. So we're gonna keep pushing on those items. But lots of good educational opportunities there, but also those networking opportunities are really beneficial for us. We had a good coordination meeting with Public Works today. Overall, in general, the last few years, the coordination between CCWD and Public Works has been really good. It's really improved. Damon deserves and Kevin both deserve a lot of credit for that. There have been some bumps in the road though, and there's some room for improvement. And so I think continuing to meet and just talk through all of our issues and make sure that we're all on the same page and we're not taking each other by surprise. We need to just really make sure that we make that a regular discussion, because there's a lot of good discussion there today, and identifying opportunities where we can continue to leverage each other's investments and infrastructure. Where today it came up that they're planning on paving a stretch of O'Byrne's Ferry at some point in the near future, where we have a project that we're planning in the near future. And this happened a couple of years ago with our force main on O'Byrne's Ferry, where we were able to leverage each other's assets to make sure we get the most bang for our buck when we're paving, repaving those roads. So looks like there'll be, that was a good opportunity that we took advantage of. Then we have, I think, another success story coming up on Baldwin when that's complete at the end of the summer. And then this one looks like another good one. And there's some other opportunities we're looking at where we can collaborate. So,
but that Baldwin, that's all, we're all good on that, because I know they had some concerns about our completion date.
Yeah, there were some issues with the timing of the funding, because part of it is that part of their funds that they're putting into the project are grant funds that have to be spent by a certain time, and they have to comply with the grant requirements. So there was a little bit of complication there, but yeah, we're all good. Our guys are going full speed on replacing the service lines on Baldwin as fast as we can. County's then going to come in after that and pave the whole thing. We're on track. The engineering committee met yesterday. A lot of really good stuff. I mentioned it yesterday, but kudos to Kevin and the whole engineering team, because with all the different projects that we have going on, they also were able to circle back to things like updating our ADU policy and some other items that have been kind of lingering for a while. So look forward to that coming to the full board and knocking some things off the list. Party barbecue is coming up on Friday. For those of you who are available, I'm going to be out of town the next couple of days, so I have to miss it this year. But that's always another good opportunity for lots of good collaboration and partnership there. Mountain County's Water Resource Legislation Day, or Legislative Day, an advocacy day next week that several of us will be participating in. And looking forward to that. Appreciate Justin's work on pulling all that together. We also participated in the Calaveras County, they're calling the MAC now, the multi-agency coordination group. And so this is sort of, I guess, the replacement for the Calaveras OES department that is now kind of folded back into the Sheriff's Department. And so it was a little bit of a, we kind of went into it thinking it was an after action from the Snowmageddon incident. And in Arnold and West Point. And there was definitely some of that. But it was also the county kind of introducing their new structure and the new folks and that are running the OES functions at the county now. So we'll continue to be an active part of that group. Let's see, camera met, was that last week or the week before? We didn't have a quorum, but I think still a productive discussion. So we'll be bringing finalizing some amendments to the bylaws and bringing that to the board for approval before the next camera meeting. And then last but certainly not least, just a lot of work on the budget. And so budget development, and so we will present, I guess, kind of laying out the process going forward. We'll have a presentation next week at the finance committee meeting on preliminary budget. And then we'll be bringing that to the full board for review at the next board meeting, May 27th, I believe it is. And then, so we'll do kind of a workshop item at that board meeting, and then hopefully be bringing the final budget back for approval at the first meeting in June. Current plan, but we'll get into a lot of the details at the finance committee next week. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Questions from the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8, board reports. Admin, you want to start off first?
Sure. Do we ask for public comment on those previous?
Only action items, but
Oh, gotcha. All right.
I only have one public here. If this is what he came to talk about, you come up and do 3 minutes. You sure? All right, I don't want you to come all this way and not get your moment. Okay.
Okay, Michael already talked about camera, which was last week of April, 2 weeks ago. Last week I was in ACWA with a lot of people in this room. It was good, very good sessions. A lot of educational stuff. And then, well, on Monday morning I had I'm the chair of the liability committee. We met at 8 o'clock. That kicked off the JPIA stuff on Monday morning. And Michael, like I said before, was there to present on local hazard mitigation grants, and the panel worked out very nicely.
Credit to Kelly for the presentation. He helped me pull all that together. So thank you, Kelly.
And next week is the Michael already mentioned the Mountain Counties Ledge Day will be on Wednesday. On Tuesday, Mountain Counties has a tour set up of the city of Roseville and their ASR wells. I've been very interested in checking out and looking and figure out how they worked, and I've known about them for a long time. So it'd be a great opportunity. Next day is the ledge committee. Also, just mention one more Mountain Counties thing before, and I mentioned it before. It's the August 19th, 20th, and 21st. The California United group in San Diego. If I've signed up for it, I'm not quite sure if anyone else has, but I've understand that a few of us are gonna be heading down there.
When is it?
It's August 19th, 20th, and 21st. You fly down on the 19th, which is a Wednesday. It starts at noon or 1 that day. Goes to the rest of the day. There's things going on that evening. The following day is a full day, Thursday the 20th, and then that evening, Mountain Counties along with California United. California United is the group that Mountain Counties helped form about 10 years ago. It includes the Bay Area BOSWA group, Mountain Counties, Mesa, and Urban Water Institute. So it's those 4 groups form California United. So together with California United and the Urban Water Institute are hosting a dinner cruise on Coronado Bay that evening, the 20th. If Michael Minkler, our general manager, would be there, it's also his birthday. And also it's the birthday of our JPIA, Melody McDonald. She's our president of JPIA. So it's her birthday is going to be that night also. It'll be a special evening on the Sunset Cruise for dinner on the 20th, and then it ends. And then California United pretty much does all the programming on Friday, the 21st. And then the thing is over at noon on the 21st. So it's really a 2-day thing, but it takes place over 3 days. The second half of Wednesday, all day Thursday, and the first half of Friday. Encourage everybody to sign up. We're trying to get as many Mountain Counties people to go there. This is the program that brings together North and South and East and West. I was out provided an opportunity. Melody called me up for at her president's the president and CEO during the JPIA program give their message, and she invited me up to speak on this, and so I invited everybody in the room. But we're really looking for Region 3 mountain counties. I didn't get an opportunity to talk at our Region 3 meeting. Kind of disappointed about that. But we did have a good Region 3 meeting on Thursday at ACWA last week also. Interest of time, that's all I got.
Thank you. That's a good report.
I was also over in Sacramento. And went to some pretty interesting sessions. One in particular was how to interact more successfully with Army Corps. What I found out in that was we really have an extraordinary program, and we should be thankful. With our federal contacts, there was so much talk about people not even be able to, talk to anybody at the Corps or make contact with them, and all the different ways that they were suggesting, that to better your chances to get projects with the Corps, we're doing all that already. So I left that feeling pretty good about our effort, and obviously it's been pretty successful with our projects in Copperopolis, and so that was one. I went to one on the groundwater. Just some of the things that are going on that. It's kind of groundwater 101, and that was pretty interesting as well. And then there was the City of Paradise. Hopefully it'll come up earlier, but they put together a production on recovering from the fire. And if you did that ever get onto our website? Or
He doesn't know how to share it yet. It's not on YouTube, but it is going to be on a different platform. He talked about it, and when he knew where it was going to be, he'd be able to share it.
Okay, well, when that comes available, it's powerful. I mean, really something.
It's less of a how-to than an emotional story. It is we're very well put together. They hired a video. I mean, Kelly does an awesome job. This guy's a professional, and he interviewed people. They've entered it. Kevin Phillips, the general manager of PID, has got producer credits, as does the assistant general manager, and now they're registered with the Hollywood group that and they're going to be, they put it in for awards. It had to be, they closed it at 25 minutes, so it would fit into this certain category where they had a better opportunity. But it is very well done.
Yeah,
and a great story.
Keep an eye on that. Find out when that's going to be available.
We'll keep an eye out for it. And now that you mentioned, I want producer credit for our bucket test, the meter test using the bucket, the 5-gallon bucket. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's about it. And I had some good contact down there. It was great to see the staff. Seemed like every time I run into Michael or Kevin or anybody, they were heading off to another meeting with, the Corps or other folks. So there was some good networking that was going on there, the betterment of the district.
Russ?
Well, I also attended the ACWA meeting in Sacramento, and I feel a little odd using the word vibe. I'm not in that generation where vibes are important, but there was a noticeable change in the vibe of ACWA. Ernie,
It was pretty fly, huh?
what? I don't know. But the last couple of administrations of ACWA presidents were they did a job, I guess, but nothing like the vibe that was there. Ernie they had teleprompters, but Ernie was really pretty remarkable. He can talk without a teleprompter. It was really pretty cool to have somebody leading the organization doing that. And we need to talk about the fact that the head person in the Department of Water Resources, Carla Namath, has been selected to uh, be the executive director of ACWA starting in September, I think. And that's going to be really earth shaking, I think. Was really glad to see that development take place. We had our former general manager here leading that organization for a while, and I liked the vibe then. But anyway, had some good interactions with people, and the groundwater thing that you mentioned was it was pretty alarming how easily these words are being bandied about. That we've got this mandate from the law, the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, that they just very easily say, well, if we can't sustain or get the water levels sustainable, we're just going to have to fallow 10 million acres. That 10 million of acres of ground, productive ground in California, and the consequences of people losing their lands, bank foreclosures and stuff. It's likely to be a pretty devastating time. And I'm not sure that the folks here at Calaveras County understand the gravity of what might happen in our local area here. But anyway, all in all, had a good time, very productive time. Glad I had a chance to go.
You had some.
Yeah, and one more thing I forgot to mention. I'm gonna the HR. I did mention the HR LaBounty Safety Award winners. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. This in this particular spring session of ACWA. It is JPIA gives out these awards for innovation and safety items that you bring forward. Calaveras County and has submitted one, did win the award. It wasn't highlighted though. It wasn't the photos or video or the presentation wasn't described. But I do understand that we're going to be getting the production directly from Damon, and maybe Kelly might be involved with that here in a future meeting. But so proud to see Calaveras County on this list when that comes around. Good job. Good job.
We're going to bring those guys in.
Right. And they do win a monetary award. I don't know what that is, but each of them, I understand there's 5 of them, each
$250.
each money in their pocket.
There you go.
No, split.
My report, we have a dog jump week. Everybody makes it out to the fair. We've also got, especially Sunday, support the kids. And we have the party picnic this weekend. I want to also add my voice. I did not make it to the conference. My youngest son had graduated from college, and that's take priority. And so, but I was so pleased to hear about all the great contacts that were made there. I think it just goes to show how we're winning on the grant programs, because we have these relationships. We work on them, and I'm just really proud of how much our staff is involved in these organizations, because I think it really matters. Punching above our weight. And that is a good place to be. So kudos to everybody who was a big part of everything there. That concludes our item 9. Next board meetings are May 27th. And there's a typo. The next meeting is Wednesday, June 10th, 1 p.m. All right. I was going to go to closed session, but Ralph, you sat there patiently. I'm going to make an exception to my very stringent rules.
A little less than formal.
I know, but you have old habits.
We'll get you. Really quick, just I noticed on your expense accounts, Director Davidson and Robertson had a meeting with our representative McClintock, April 24th. Now, did you guys have a readout at a meeting between that and now that I can go review, or have you just disclose what the meeting was about? Or,
Michael.
I don't
Michael-
recall if we reported out on that at the last meeting or not, but thank you for reminding us if we didn't. I mean, a lot of those discussions have to do with our Army Corps federal funding. And
It was the subject was thanking him for the support of the last $3 million.
Yeah.
All the copper project, but we also put in a request for support for the $15 million in the 219 program to put a new raw water intake inside Lake Hogan.
Right.
And it was a positive discussion. I believe he will be.
He wasn't in DC when we were there for our the meeting with our lobbyists and all the other House members. He was not there, so that was a follow up to that meeting to do the same thing that we had done with our senators.
it was even better timing though, I think, because what we learned after, in the interim period was we were the only project in California to receive Section 219 federal funding that wasn't a budget appropriation. So it was just added to the Army Corps' work plan, which is really difficult to do. We've never been able to do that before. All of our other federal funding has come through budget appropriations. And so that was a huge deal for us. We don't have to go through that whole process again over the next year. And we wouldn't have gotten that if Congressman McClintock hadn't picked up the phone and called the Assistant Secretary of the Army. So
we have an awesome lobbyist, awesome
Yeah.
lobbyist.
So that was the main. It was kind of a general check-in, but that's the main purpose is federal funding.
Who says I'm not flexible?
No, and I
Lots of
appreciate it,
people.
because if we hadn't reported out on that, I gotta appreciate the opportunities. So.
All right. So thank you all very much. We will be recessing to closed session. We'll report out after closed session and close out this meeting. Thank you. Thank you. Is there any public comment on closed session today? Anybody online? Thank you very much, Counselor. We are in recess.